I didn't realize when it started, only that, over time, I had begun to feel like a guest in my own life. Not unwelcome, just peripheral. He made decisions easily. About money, about the ranch, about where we'd be in 5 years. I used to think it was confidence. Something solid I could lean on. But eventually I noticed how often those decisions happened without me, then were handed to me already shaped, already final. I adapted in small ways, asked fewer questions, watched more closely. The ranch had been mine before it was ours. Not inherited, earned. Years of work, loans, risk. $2 million of something real, something rooted. When we married, I didn't hesitate to add his name. It felt like trust at the time. Like a future. Looking back, I can't point to a single moment where that trust broke. It thinned instead, conversation by conversation. Omission by omission. My stepsister came back into my life quietly. We hadn't been close growing up. Different houses, different loyalties. But suddenly she was around, helping with paperwork, stopping by unannounced, laughing a little too easily at his jokes. I didn't confront it. Not because I didn't see it, but because I wanted to understand it first. That's when I started paying attention in a different way. I began reviewing documents again. The ones I had signed years ago without hesitation. I noticed what had changed since. Joint ownership had shifted in language I hadn't questioned at the time. Authority clauses, transfer permissions, things that sounded administrative but weren't. I made a call. Then another. Not out of panic. Out of clarity. A quiet consultation turned into a series of meetings. Nothing dramatic, just careful questions asked in calm voices. I learned what could be done, and more importantly, what had already been done without me fully realizing its weight. So I made adjustments. Not visible ones, not anything that would trigger suspicion. Just corrections, safeguards, revisions filed where they needed to be filed. By the time my stepsister started showing more interest in the ranch itself, asking about boundaries, grazing rights, long-term value, I already understood the direction things were moving. I didn't stop it. That's the part people misunderstand when they look back later, when they try to find the moment I should have intervened. I wasn't trying to prevent it. I was waiting for it to complete itself. The day he told me came without ceremony. He didn't sit me down. Didn't prepare the conversation. It slipped into the afternoon like an afterthought. I sold the ranch, he said, as if mentioning a routine transaction. It's done. I remember the way he watched me after. Not closely, more like someone expecting a predictable reaction. Tears, maybe. Shock. Some kind of collapse that would confirm his control over the situation. For how much? I asked. $5. He said it almost lightly. Like it was a clever detail. Like the number itself would sting more than the act. And to who? He hesitated just enough for it to be noticeable. Your stepsister. There it was, clean, final, already executed. He leaned back slightly, waiting. I felt something shift inside me then, not breaking, not even anger. Just a kind of settling, like a long equation resolving into something simple. So I smiled. Not widely, not theatrically. Just enough. That's when his expression changed. Not fully, but there was a flicker, uncertainty, maybe. Something didn't match the outcome he had imagined. You don't seem surprised, he said. I'm not, I answered. And that was all I gave him. The rest happened 2 days later. We were all there, him, me, and my stepsister. She looked pleased in a way she was trying to keep contained, like someone holding onto a win they hadn't fully processed yet. The knock at the door was quiet. Not urgent, not aggressive. Just precise. When I opened it, there were 2 people standing there, calm, professional, holding folders. They introduced themselves, stepped inside when invited, and asked for him by name. Everything after that unfolded without raised voices. Documents were presented, not copies, originals, filed weeks earlier, adjustments to ownership structures, legal corrections based on prior agreements that had been misapplied. He read them once, then again. I watched his posture change before his face did. The slight tension in his shoulders, the way he stopped leaning back and started leaning forward. This isn't right, he said. One of them responded evenly. It is. The transfer you executed doesn't hold under the revised structure. My stepsister looked between us, confusion replacing whatever quiet satisfaction she'd been holding on to. What does that mean? She asked. It means, I said, before they could, the ranch was never yours to receive. Silence settled in the room then. Not heavy, just definitive. He turned to me, really looking this time. When did you? A while ago. I didn't elaborate. There was no need. The authority in the room didn't come from raised voices or dramatic declarations. It came from the paperwork sitting on the table, from the quiet certainty of people who deal in facts, not emotion. Control didn't snap back to me in that moment. It had been there already. This was just when it became visible. They explained the next steps. Reversal of the invalid sale. Potential consequences for misrepresentation. Nothing exaggerated. Just process. By the time they left, the house felt different. Not victorious. Just rearranged. My stepsister avoided my eyes. Whether out of guilt or embarrassment, I couldn't tell. Maybe both. Maybe neither. He didn't say much after that. Not immediately. There wasn't a confrontation waiting to happen, no explosion of delayed emotion. Just a quiet unraveling. I walked outside later, out toward the edge of the property. The land looked the same. Open, steady, unchanged by what had just happened. I tried to feel something clear. Satisfaction, maybe, relief. But it wasn't that simple. What I felt was quieter. I had protected what was mine. I had seen something coming and chosen not to fight it loudly, but to outlast it, to outthink it. And I had. But standing there, I also understood something else. Winning like this doesn't restore what was there before. It just makes the truth undeniable. Behind me, the house remained silent. Ahead of me, the land stretched out, still mine, still steady. And for the first time in a long while, I wasn't standing on it as someone being overlooked. I was standing on it alone.